So what happens if you submit an essay and the marker thinks that we need to investigate for plagiarism? Well, this short video is going to talk you through exactly what happens. Now, hopefully, when you're submitting your essays on Turnitin, you are looking at the similarity report. Essentially, this is the thing that will guide the marker to check that you haven't plagiarised from anyone else's work. And plagiarism, as you know, essentially is using previously published work by other authors that aren't you and not referencing them, almost trying to pass off someone else's work as your own. So what will happen is when the marker is looking at your work, the first thing that they'll do is look at the similarity report. Now, sometimes it will highlight funny things like your title, because, for example, lots of students in the past have submitted essays with that title and it's saved it in the repository. So previous students' essays are also saved into Turnitin, as well as, it checking the internet and websites and journals and books, etc. So sometimes if we see that it's making a similarity to a title or your reference list, then that's nothing to worry about at all. So it's quite common that a title or a reference list might show up. So if we see that, we normally disregard that. That's normally not an issue at all. However, the issue comes when there is a substantial amount of writing, more than a couple of words, that have been taken from a source and either not referenced correctly or not referenced at all. So we will go through and it will show us the highlighted sections that match sources. If we see, for example, lots of sentences or even paragraphs that match other published sources and you haven't referenced them correctly, this means we'll need to call you in for something called a Category 1 meeting. You'll know that you have a meeting because the marker will type it in the text box comments. It will say that this needs to be investigated for plagiarism. It's really important that as soon as your grade and feedback are released, and if you read this comment, you need to email the marker straight away, please. So please don't expect them to try and chase you up. It's your responsibility as an adult learner, as a student, that if you get your grade and feedback and it says we need to investigate it further, please email the marker as soon as you can. We'll need to set up for you to come for a meeting with the marker and with me as programme lead as well. If I'm the marker, then it will just be between me and you, most likely. But if someone else is the marker, I will probably be attending as well, because it's quite serious. What will happen is we'll have a Category 1 meeting. There's a form that the marker will have filled in already with screenshots of your essay. And when we have the meeting, you'll get a chance to discuss the plagiarism issues that are pointed out to you. And a decision will be made as to the outcome. If it's seen as a Category 1 offence, it's likely that your grade will be reduced by 10%, but there are other outcomes that will be explained to you in the meeting, such as reducing your grade by 20%, failure of a submission, so just given a 0, or failure of a module. If it's quite serious, you can actually fail the whole module. So any other submissions, for example, Psych has 3 components, you'd actually fail the module if it was quite serious. It can become even more serious. You can even fail a stage, so fail year 1 or fail year 2 and need to repeat those. Obviously, there's financial implications there because you'd need to pay to attend again. But if it's your first meeting, if it's a Category 1 meeting, what is likely to be decided is that your grade that you can see on Turnitin will need to be reduced. And the likelihood is it will be reduced by 10%. Now, this is a shame because it's going to affect your academic profile, but equally, if your grade you received was 45% and after your grade is reduced because of an academic offence, we call it an AO, you'll take your grade down to 35, this is now a fail. So this means you have failed the essay, and what will happen is you'll have to wait till the PAB happens, which I think for you is happening in May. And at the PAB, obviously they happen at the end of each level, at the PAB it will be decided if you're allowed to resubmit that work. It's likely if it's just one offence and you've submitted everything else, that the panel will usually give you a chance to resubmit the essay, and you'll be able to use that original essay. Obviously, you'll need to edit it and remove any plagiarism at all and resubmit. The only thing is resubmissions are capped at 40%, so it will mean then the maximum you can receive for that essay will now be 40% because it's an academic offence. But all of this can be explained to you in the meeting, and the marker can explain it to you then as well. You're welcome to bring a friend or an independent witness along to the meeting if you want. Most students don't normally do that, but you are welcome to do that. Then the meetings don't normally last very long. They're normally between about 15 to 20 minutes, but it depends on how much there is to talk about in the meeting. There is something else, however, as well. When you have a Category 1 meeting, if it's decided that there is an offence there, as well as what is most likely going to be 10% deduction in your grade, you also have to complete the Palgrave plagiarism module. It's like a short online module that you need to do, which has a short assessment at the end. You need to do that within 2 weeks of the meeting with the marker. So once the marker has met with you, they fill in the form and they'll put on there the date that they met with you, and therefore 2 weeks later, by that time, we need to have received from you an email back to the marker and a screenshot of the outcome of the assessment. So when you do the score at the end of the online module, you will get a grade on that, and you need to screenshot that to show you have passed the module, and you need to email that screenshot to the marker, and that will go obviously onto the form. It's really important though that you do complete that module. Obviously there can be complications if you have a second offence after the Category 1 has taken place. You can find out more by looking online at our plagiarism policy, or we can explain it to you, but let's hope that there are no offences, or if there are, that hopefully one is enough. Anyway, I hope that just helps understand a little bit more. You'll find out if there's an issue when you get your grade released and your feedback. You then need to email the marker to arrange a short meeting. You'll need to come in and meet the marker to discuss what happened. They will make a decision what the outcome will be, and you need to do the online plagiarism module, but they'll tell you all about that when you're there, and they'll give you the website that you need, so you know exactly what you need to do. I hope that all makes sense. Any questions, feel free to drop me or your personal tutor an email, and fingers crossed, no plagiarism. Best wishes and enjoy the weekend.